In December of 2022, Stranded Deep on console received its last major console feature, Item Piles. This gave console new possibilities and a new hack that PC players have been exploiting since they got Item Piles. It also means it's time to update our start guide. But before we get started, there's a couple things we need to look at and some settings that we may need to change. So let's take a look at those. From our main menu, we want to come down to Options. Once we're in Options, we're just going to tab over to General. Now, the first thing you want to do is turn your tutorial off. It's busted, it's confusing, and honestly, it's supposed to give you the idea of the game, but there's some gaping holes in it. So just go ahead and turn it off, follow this guide. I'm going to explain everything that you're going to need to know about the game to get started. Next thing you're going to want to make sure is turned off is auto walk. This is more trouble than it's worth, and hey, you can try it if you'd like. I guarantee you, after you've tried it a few times, you're going to come back over here and turn it off. Now, the last thing we want to take a look at is wildlife. Set to default, wildlife is aggressive, meaning if you're swimming in the water, sharks are going to attack you. Now, if you set it to passive, all the animals will still be in the world, but they won't attack. You can also remove them. So however you want to play that's more comfortable to your play style, just make sure you take that into account. Hit apply, and then go back to the main menu. From here, we want to come down to the cartographer. This is the existing map that the game is going to give us. We could change this to some random map if we want in the future. What you're going to want to do here is take a picture of this, a screenshot or whatever, because there is no in-game map. There's no map that you can pull up unless you're modding it on PC. That's the only way you're going to have an in-game map. So take a picture of this with your phone or whatever you're going to do so that you have it on hand so you can navigate. Now that we have all that, we can hit play. This is going to take us to our last set of options that we can select. Here we can select difficulty, hard or normal, gender, world, existing. Now, if you change this to random, that picture in the cartography map that you took of your map will be completely different. So just take that into account. You'll have to come back into that cartography map after you've saved your game in order to take a picture of the new map. You turn permadeath on or off. Just note that if it is on and you die in the game will delete your save. You will not have it anymore. So if you're on day 125 and you die, that's all gone. You can't reload it. Wildlife, this is your last chance to change your wildlife to however you want. Once again, default is aggressive, passive, or remove them. Starting crate, after you beat the game, you'll have access to the starting crate. This just gives you new things that you can use, like a machete, sunscreen, things of that nature. Once you're done, we can start the game. Once we're in the game, we want to go ahead and look for the paddle that's on the side of the raft. Here you're going to hit, I'm on Xbox, so I want to hit X. E if you're on PC, just look down at your raft, hold that same button, and you'll get on. Now you can just move freely using the left stick if you're on controller and just move forward. What we want to do is ground our raft so it does not float away. You can lose your raft, even your built rafts later on in the game, so make sure you drag these on. To drag it, just go ahead and highlight over it, hold down the left trigger, and just back out of the water, and you can drag anything. Keeping track of our stats is very important in the game. To access your stats on your watch, if you're on PC, you want to hit the F key. If you're on console, you want to hit, on Xbox, you want to hit the Y key. On PlayStation, I believe it is the triangle key. So go ahead and hit that, and it brings up your watch. Here you have, in the first screen, you have your health, food, water, and SPF. The top three are exactly like it sounds, and the SPF is a measure of the sun's rays directly on your character, its effect on your character. You can tell if the sun's rays are high or not. At the top right corner of your watch, it'll say little tiny words. It says UV, and then none. It just switched over to high, and now the sun's rays are directly affecting my SPF. Your SPF will start to drop. There's a couple ways you can combat this. One, you can stand in the shade or build a base with a roof and block the sun out. This is kind of a pain in the butt early game. Honestly, most players just go ahead, craft like a spear, a fishing spear, and we'll just sit in the water, do some fishing. Your SPF, your UV goes away. Another thing you can do, if you're early game and you can't craft the sunscreen yet in the consumables, you can just find one aloe vera and you can eat this. You can eat this aloe vera and it will completely refill your SPF bar. It won't stop the UV rays like sunscreen will, but it will refill it all the way back up and allow you to take other measures to figure it out. Now, tabbing over to the right using the right mouse button or the right bumper on your controller will bring you to your relevant skills in the game. Honestly, all these skills, hunting, cooking, harvesting, strength, they're unimportant, honestly. In my opinion, they're 100% unimportant. The only important skill here is your craftsmanship, and there's a specific reason why. So, like, yes, hunting is exactly like you think. The higher your hunting goes, the more damage you do with weapons. However, in a test that I did, all weapons do exactly the same damage except for one, and that is the refined spear. And of course, the refined spear does double the damage, and you need crafting level 3 in order to craft that. But like I said, craftsmanship is the most important. There is a way to level this up super fast. I have a guide for that. I will link that down in the description if you're interested. We are going to cover the first couple levels. Now, if we go ahead and tab over to the right again, we're going to come to our status effects tab. This is going to give us a list of anything that's going on with our character. We're healthy, we're dehydrated, we have diarrhea, bleeding from a shark attack, we're poisoned. You get the point. It's all going to be listed here, and you're going to be able to know what's going on with your character so you can deal with those effects and cancel them out. Or, like this, the healthy status effect is actually the only way to heal in the game. Now, I know that there is bandages in the game, but in solo play, those bandages will only stop bleeding from shark attacks or boss attacks. The bandages in multiplayer can still do that, but in addition to that, you can use it to revive your teammate. So keep that in mind as you're looking at your status effects. You tab over again to the right again, it gives you all your statistics, how long you survived, items crafted, animals killed. You guys get the point. Now that we got an idea of all the stats and controls, we need to scour the island for resources. And the first two resources we're going to look for are sticks and stones. If you're having issues finding loose sticks or stones, there's a little bit of a hack you can use early game to find that. If you go ahead and open up your crafting menu by hitting C on PC or the right bumper button on your controller, it brings it up. Now for us, we're looking for stone. So if I went ahead and pinned that stone tool because it tells me it needs a stone to craft. If you look at the bottom underneath the stone, it says 0 of 1. Now I can quick craft off the ground. I don't have to have everything in my inventory to craft something. I can have it a combination of in my inventory in the ground lying immediately around me, or everything lying on the ground immediately around me. Because of that, I can use this method by pinning the recipe up and then kind of moving around. As you see, as I get close, it now says 1 of 1. If I open my inventory, I don't have any rocks here. But if I look down, oh, there's a rock. So now we have that. We want to hold down the crafting button. That'll bring up quick crafting. Only thing I can make right now is a stone tool, and that's good because that's what I want. Now, if I go ahead and highlight over this in my inventory, there's one thing you guys really need to pay attention to at the very bottom is durability of your tools. All tools and weapons have a durability. Once it reaches 0, it'll go away. As I have the stone tool, I'm also looking for young palms. So let's cut these. These respawn. Trees and things like that that you can cut down do not respawn. Coconuts will not respawn as well. If you find any fruit or potatoes or anything that you pick on the islands, they will not respawn. So keep that all in mind. We can move right into the middle here. We see this yucca. We want to keep these on cooldown. All of our young palms and the yuccas we want to keep on cooldown because this will give us fibrous leaves. Fibrous leaves allow us to make things like lashing. Now, you don't have to pick them up off the ground because things do not despawn in this game. That's important to note, first of all. Things do not despawn in the game. So if you litter every island that you go to with all kinds of extra things, you cut trees down, putting all kinds of yucca on cooldown and then just leaving them on the ground and just never coming back to that island, or looting wrecks and finding things in the containers and then leaving them floating in the water or whatever, eventually it's going to bog your game down. So what you want to do to remove those items that you don't want anymore is to take them out into the middle of the ocean and drop it into the sea. They're just going to go down. There's no ground to that. I've gone all the way down there. It's just an empty void, and that's the best way, the only way, honestly, to get rid of anything that you're not going to use in the game. That's another reason why item piles are such a big deal. It's going to help you manage how much the game has to render and account for every time. So now if we hold down the crafting menu again, we can make lashing. If we open up our crafting menu, we can come down to the refined knife. In order to make this, you need 1 lashing. You need 4 fibrous leaves for that lashing. So you know, that's why I said keep all of that on cooldown. It's going to help you a lot. On a normal gameplay, every 48 in-game hours, all those young palms and yuccas will respawn. If you're playing on hard mode, it's going to be every 72. Let's go ahead and craft that. We have sticks. We have a stone tool. We can go ahead and craft our refined knife. So my SPF is dropping, almost completely gone. I don't feel like going in the water or anything like that. So all I'm going to do is pick this aloe right here. I'm going to eat it because I cannot craft the consumable for sunscreen yet, and that fills up my SPF bar. Just note that this does not grow back, and you can plant these and farm these at a later date, so make sure you at least keep one somewhere. If we hold rock in our hand like this and we have at least one more stone in our inventory, we can quick craft by holding down the crafting button, and you get this icon on blue right there underneath the stone. That tells us that I can make an item pile out of it. If I hold that, then I can just place it. Now, if I hover my mouse over it, I can access that rock pile's inventory. So like before, if we hit the left bumper or the tab on PC, you could access your own inventory. But if I highlight over the rock pile, I can now access the rock pile's inventory and I can pull items out of it. If I go over to the backpack, I can now access my inventory while in the rock pile's inventory, and I can put the rest of the rocks inside. And I can go back over to this wood crate. It takes me back to the rock pile's inventory, and there you go. So now I can hover over this because I'm in the general vicinity. So just to prove this, we can just go ahead and pin the stone tool, and you can see 7 of 1. If I go back, you can see I have 7 rocks here. So what we want to do is quick craft a number of stone tools until we hit craftsmanship level 1. There we go. I now have craftsmanship level 1, as you can see at the bottom of my stat screen, or if you pull this up at the very bottom of your crafting menu, you can see current craftsmanship level 1. Now we can scroll all the way down, and the next thing we can make is crude spears. These are great because you're going to need the crude spear in order to make the refined spear anyways. Whatever weapon you choose, I personally like the spears. But before we do that, we want to craft the axe, which we already have all the items for. So let's go ahead and quick craft that. There we go. Now we have a crude axe. Once again, if you highlight over it, it tells your item tools durability. Keep an eye on that because it'll just disappear out of your hand if it goes to 0. Now we need to get craftsmanship level 2. So we're just going to do it the easy way. We're just going to cut some trees down. These right here will give us a good amount, and they're quick. With the number of sticks in your inventory, we want to quick craft crude spears. You're going to need these anyways, so you might as well craft them. There you go. We now have craftsmanship level 2. And if we do not get lucky by finding a refined hammer in any of the wrecks or wood crates around the island and in the water, we will have to craft a crude hammer in order to make a raft. As you can see here, there's a number of things that are now unlocked once we have the hammer that we can build in the raft. This is why crafting level 2 is important, because it's going to allow you the basic materials to build your wood raft. Now I have a whole guide of all about everything you want to know about raft building, and I'll link that down in the description if you're interested. But in the meantime, we are going to go ahead and start making a camp. I want to hold down my crafting menu button, so C on PC, and the right bumper on console. We can select the campfire option here, and we can go ahead and place that. We're going to need kindling to light it. So we hold down the crafting menu, you can see there's kindling, and we can just go like this. And there you go. Now the fire is started. We don't need it right now, so let's go ahead and turn that off. If you highlight over your campfire, you're going to see this dark white circle. This is the fuel that you have in your campfire or your water still or whatever it is that you're filling. You can refill this with wood, palm fronds, or fibrous leaves, like highlighting over it and just holding down the X button on console. Even though the sun's setting, we're going to continue here. We want to hit our crafting menu, and the next thing we want to build is a shelter. This is going to be really important because it's the only way you're going to be able to save your game. So we're going to need to cut a tree, so let's just cut the nearest tree. Now again, You can drag an item by highlighting over it. On console, you can just hold down the left trigger and you can drag it. So we're going to drag it over by our fires so that we can see. Now we can start cutting the trunk, and the trunk comes in different sections depending on the size of the tree. So this size, we have 2 trunk sections. Each section will give us 1 log, or broken down will give us 4 sticks. And that's what we want. We want the sticks. Now that we have all the items needed, we can just hold down the quick craft button by holding down the craft menu, and we can highlight over the shelter and we can just place this. We highlight over it, we can hold X to sleep or save. This gives us the option to sleep, save, or cancel. I suggest that you save your game when your stats are really nice, but to start with, we're just gonna save our game here. We're gonna sleep for the night, and that will bring us into the morning. But you can see our fire is almost gone. So if we go into our inventory and get our fibrous leaf here, we can highlight over it, and you can see we can start filling it. We can also use palm fronds, highlight over it, and we can fill it. Or we can get a stick. 4 sticks will give you a whole thing. So 1 stick per quarter. You get the most bang for your buck for wood. However, like I said earlier, wood does not respawn. So use your wood wisely. Now we're having an issue with water. Just remember that when you first start the game, in your raft, you will have storage. You have 1 bandage just in case you get bit by a shark. This will stop the bleeding. You got a compass to help you navigate, and you have 3 rations. This will fill food and water a great deal. You can use those. However, I like to kind of save those for a rainy day when things are dire. And food isn't that hard. Neither is water. I've picked a number of coconuts. I suggest you pick 3. We're gonna wanna just drop these on the ground. I'm just holding down the B button to drop them on console. Now that they're done, I can whack them until I take the husk off. You got a coconut drink. Coconut drink. This is a bug, honestly, and I don't know how long it's going to be in the game. It's been on the game on PC since we got item piles, but that's not to say that the devs at some point aren't going to go ahead, patch it out. So use it while you can. Now, if you hold down the quick craft button again, we can make a coconut drink pile, and we want to go ahead and make these 3 coconuts into that. Let's go do that. And then as you see, we have 3. Now, what we want to do is drink a coconut and drop it by holding down B on your console button. We can come back in here, take another one. We can drink that one, and you can drop it. Now, if you look at your watch, it's 6:45 that we drank those 2. If we drink a third, we'll get diarrhea, and then all of our water will drain out. So what we want to do is wait for 10 in-game seconds. So 6:55, just like that. Then we can go ahead and pick these up. I mean, you can put them back in if you want. We can put these back in, even though they're empty. Come out, go back in, and they magically, through the magic of game bugs, they are back to full again. So go ahead and take advantage of this while you can, because I can't promise that this is going to be in the game forever. So before we start tackling food, I just want to cover real quick how to increase your crafting levels fast. Now, you can just do it naturally as you play the game, and as you need to craft things, you craft them and naturally raise it if you want. But if you're like me and you want to hit a certain crafting level, like 2 or 3 or whatever, and you want to do it fast, the best and cheapest method is to make crude spears. Now, you're going to need crafting level 1 for that. So from that point, you can get a number of sticks and you can just start making crude spears. Literally, it is that easy. In order to leave the island, if you have wildlife set to default, that is aggressive. This rubber raft is considered 1 raft tile. Sharks can flip this. It might not happen immediately, but it will happen. Now, in order to craft anything like bases or a raft, you're gonna need either the crude hammer, or if you're lucky enough in a wreck to find a refined hammer, you need to equip that in your hand and then go ahead and open your crafting menu. From here, if you see at the top there, it says left bumper, right bumper, you wanna go ahead and tab over. As you can see here, now we can start making things like rafts. We're gonna need 2 raft bases. Now, because our crafting level is so low, we can only do the buoy ball base, which we were lucky enough to get on the shipwreck. Or we can just do a standard old wood raft base. And as we pull it up here, you're gonna need 1 lashing and 14 sticks. Now, just to reiterate what I said, 1 log section is 4 sticks. So you're gonna need a lot of logs and a lot of trees in order to make 2 sections. You need at least 2 sections, because remember, this is only considered one raft tile. But once you have everything in your inventory, you can just quick craft it like this. We'll just drop it right here. We got to kind of keep it lifted a little bit so that nothing interferes with it. That looks pretty good. I don't think anything. And then we can quick craft. And as you can see, I have red. It won't let me do it. But I can do it on this side. This is just because probably the stone or something, there was a crab or there was something that was interfering. Either way, it has to be attached. You'll feel a snap as you come to it. It'll snap to it. If you craft one over here, you cannot put these two together. Once again, I have a guide. Everything you want to know about raft building, I will leave that down in the description as well for you to look at if you so choose to. Anyways, there you go. Now we have that. Once you have everything you need, you can just come back in here. We can put these on. It just snaps on. Make sure it snaps on. Like so. Now we got craftsmanship level 3. Now I'm not going to finish the raft here, but once you've finished and before you sail out, remember there is one thing you need to know. The one constant in this game is that the tide, the movement of the ocean, always moves from north to south. So if I'm facing this way, this is directly north, east, south, west. Sun setting in the west. We do have a couple other things that we need to cover before we go, and that's food. Things like crabs, fish, hogs, boar, all of that can be harvested and eaten. Sharks could be killed and harvested and eaten. You will need a knife to harvest it. Just know
gross.
That once you have that meat, it will start to degrade. It will spoil. Even if you cook it, it will re-spoil. The only way to not spoil a meat is to come over here and make yourself a smoker. The smoker, once the meat is smoked, it will never go bad. But there's a bit of a hack. I mean, it's not all lost. If whatever you catch, fish, hogs, boar, just keep it whole right next to your campfire and you can skin it and cook it as you need it until such time as you actually have the smoker, which again, then your food lasts forever. That is going to be the end of the guide. I hope that this helps you. Let me know down in the comments section if there's something that I didn't cover here that you would like answered. I will do my absolute best to cover it. Also, if you're a veteran player, leave some tips down in the description for some of the new players who don't know everything yet, like the 210 rule and a number of other really cool things that we've been taking advantage of as veteran players. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next.